dismembered, decapitated. It's probably because you're trying to hide something and make sure certain details don't come out.
Tend to Life with Elise.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Elise and this is Tend to Life. I am so happy to be back with all of you guys. For those of you who are brand new here to the channel, my name is Elise and this is where we talk all things true crime. Now, as I said, I'm so happy to be back. I've been on a little bit of a 3-week hiatus because we welcomed our newest bundle of joy, little baby Emmy, and we are so excited. We are just in newborn bliss right now, but I am so happy to be back here with you guys today. We are going to be talking about a case that has been in the headlines. Personally, my opinion, not as much as it should be. I think it needs more attention, and that's why we're going to be talking about it today. It's that of Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, the young couple who was camping in Utah and was brutally slayed. Now, this case has been closely tied to the now household name and household case of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, and we're going to talk about if those cases are connected, what could have happened, what that timeline of events looked like for this young couple, and where do we go from here? What do we know and how do we get justice for those two women? Before we jump into the case details and the full breakdown, we gotta have a quick shout out from our dear friends and today's sponsor, Magellan TV. Now, you guys already know I am absolutely obsessed with Magellan. My loyal viewers already know why I love Magellan TV, but let me just break it down for you guys. Magellan is a new documentary streaming service. They have over 3,000 documentaries available to watch, and they are adding new titles weekly. This week, I watched Lady Killers, which is a fascinating documentary. It goes into the minds of all these different women serial killers. I found it extremely fascinating, and they have a new release tab where they're adding 15 to 20 hours of new content all of the time. And so you will never run out of something to watch. I'm telling you, they add new stuff all the time. The best part about Magellan is you can watch it anywhere, anytime from any device. You can stream it to your computer, your phone, your laptop, your iPad, anywhere you want. You can stream it and you can binge this content. They have all different types of genres available as well. I always, of course, find myself poking around in the true crime section, but they really do have something for everybody. And Magellan is so amazing and such a great partner of Tend to Life that they are offering all of you viewers a 1-month free trial. All you have to do is click that link in the description box below, and then boom, you are set and you can get your spooky season binging on. Take advantage of that offer because I promise you guys, you are not going to regret it. Thank you, Magellan TV, for being such a great friend of the channel. We love you. And guys, thank me later. Go click it. Get your free month trial. You're going to be obsessed. Now let's jump into all of the case details because we have got a lot to talk about. As I'm sure you all know, there is a lot of popularity surrounding the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case right now. I mean, you are very hard pressed to turn on your TV or open your YouTube and not see somebody talking about it. There is new information, new rumors, new gossip. I mean, things coming out minute by minute. It's actually pretty challenging to keep up with all of it. And I think the coverage is great, don't get me wrong, because there is still an active manhunt for Brian and he needs to be found. But some other cases have now fallen backseat to this. And there's one particularly that I have been paying close attention to that doesn't quite sit right with me. And despite it being ruled, according to authorities, there is no connection between this case that we're going to be talking about and the Gabby Petito case, many still do believe that there is a connection there. And we're going to talk about why. So we're going to focus on that case today, the timeline of events. Hopefully we can crowdsource some information here because, you know, the more people talk about it and share information, usually the more that offers up some leads. And we're going to talk about the connections to see if it is in fact connected to Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. And I'm going to be interested to hear your thoughts on this as well because I have some pretty strong opinions on it, which I'm going to share in a little bit here. A little over a month ago, the Grand Sheriff's Office confirmed the bodies of 2 women were found, and these bodies were found in the Sal Mountains near Moab, Utah. This is a popular tourist destination outside of Arches National Park, and both of these women had reported to have suffered from gunshot wounds, and they had been last seen just a few days prior on Friday, August 13th. So what happened? Let's rewind a little bit. Back in 2016, then 19-year-old Kylen Schulte moved to Moab, Utah. Kylen was young, she was adventurous, and she began working at the Moonflower Cooperative, which is a local community market, approximately a year after she moved to Utah. In 2019, Kylen and then 36-year-old Crystal Turner took their relationship from friendship to the next level and became girlfriends. Both were seeking adventure, had a passion for the outdoors. The couple camped. They were members of the ever so popular van life community, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's like this huge craze that has been out there forever, but it's like super popular now, I believe, because of TikTok. But it's where young couples or even individuals can do a full van conversion to where it's like a mini RV in their inside their van, and they use that to go out and camp rather than tent camping, or in addition to tent camping. They were really in the early stages of the beginning of their lives with one another. And in April of this year, just a few months ago, the couple married in a cute, beautiful little treehouse ceremony over in Arkansas. And what should have been a summer of celebration and adventuring together and camping and exploring the outdoors quickly turned and ended in a double homicide of the young couple. And it is just truly gruesome, the details and why this senseless act took place. On August 12th, Kylen and Crystal were believed to have been tent camping in the Sal Mountains rather than staying in their van. And this is said to have not been out of the normal. As I mentioned, sometimes people do their van life camping, some prefer tenting. I mean, it really just wasn't out of the normal. It was just the particular method of camping that they chose to do at this particular site. The following day, on August 13th, the couple went out to a place called Woody's Tavern on Main Street, and they went to go meet up with friends. They arrived at approximately 6 p.m. Crystal and Kylen enjoyed drinks, enjoyed the conversation with all of their friends. However, at one point during the night, the couple confided in their friends about a creepy man who was staying next to them. And they said he intimidated them. Kylen even told her friends, if something happens to us, we were murdered. Now, that's not something you would normally say lightly, even if you say it in a joking way, like, this creepy guy was next to us, so if something happens, we got murdered. But it's something you don't say lightly, and it was considered to have jolted the women so much that they possibly were looking for a different campsite to move to. So Crystal and Kylen left Woody's Tavern around 9:30 p.m., and it's thought that they either returned to their campsite or possibly had gone to find a new one, as I mentioned. However, over the next few days, both the women became no-shows and no-calls to their places of work, which was extremely unlike them. Their families knew that they wouldn't just miss work and that it was extremely rare and that something was definitely afoot. On August 15th, a couple of days later, they reported the women as missing to the Grand County Sheriff's Office. However, according to a few news sources, the sheriffs didn't investigate right away. It was believed that Kylen and Crystal may have left on their own, but Crystal and Kylen's family and friends knew better. They knew that this was extremely out of the norm. They wouldn't just no show to work, no call, not getting in touch with anyone. Something was definitely wrong here. Then, on August 17th, 4 days later, after the women were last seen at Woody's Tavern with their friends, the local police do an attempt to locate, and this was after Kylen's father continued to push them for this missing persons report. Their van and Harley were also still parked in town, which was extremely unsettling because the women were nowhere in sight, and everybody knew something was very wrong here, despite these claims that, oh, maybe they were just doing their own thing, they're off the grid. No, something was wrong. Kylen's family knew that something was afoot, so much so that they started a Facebook page urging everybody to come forward with any information, any help in finding these two women. Kylen's father, Sean Paul, made multiple public pleas for anybody, just urging anyone who had information, come forward, share your information, any sightings, what can we learn about where these two women are? The day that the women were found, Crystal's longtime friend, Sue Hunter, packed up supplies and went to search for her dear friends. During her search, she came across the silver Kia it was said that the women had been driving and immediately called Kylen's father, Sean Paul, who was, of course, as you know, so adamant in trying to get information and get the police to take this seriously. As she was on the phone with him, she approached the site and discovered the first body. Sean Paul advised Sue to get in her car, lock the doors, and call the police. When police arrived, they located the second body, and it was confirmed to be the two bodies of that newlywed couple, Crystal and Kylen. According to a filed warrant, officers discovered Kylen and Crystal partially undressed with multiple gunshot wounds all over their bodies. In this warrant, for the first time, investigators also said that their bodies were found in a creek near the vehicle, undressed from the waist down. The warrant read, investigators located multiple gunshot wounds on both bodies. The wounds were located on the backs, sides, and or chests of the victims. I mean, a truly gruesome discovery and attack. It's horrible. According to the search warrant later served, one of the women was wearing a bra that had also been pushed up to expose her breasts. The other was only wearing a tank top, and again, undressed from the waist down. The warrant doesn't specify which victim these details belong to. However, there has been speculation of SA occurring because of the manner in which their bodies were discovered, but I want to be very clear that they do not know yet whether or not someone SA'd these two women. They have said that they're awaiting more test results from both the medical examiner and the crime lab. So before everybody kind of campaigns with that, I just want to set that record straight. Now, who could have done such a horrific crime on these two beautiful young women who were camping, enjoying nature, and then to be just discarded like this? It's awful. And what's really interesting is Kylen's father, Sean Paul, recently learned that the night before the two women stopped showing up for their shifts at work on August 14th, there was a wedding nearby at Whispering Oaks Ranch. And it's a cabin resort. It's located about half a mile from where the girls' bodies were recovered. And the guest list was said to have over 100 people. Now, my first thought hearing that isn't necessarily that one of these 100 people or wedding goers was possibly the one who did this horrific crime, maybe, possibly, but my thought immediately goes to, that's 100 people who might have information, who may have seen something or who may have heard something. So what can we learn from that? But here's what is so frustrating about that. According to an aunt of Kylen's, the father of the bride from this wedding called the sheriff's office and the FBI on September 16th when all this information was learned and offered up the guest list for potential leads, saying, hey, here's the guest list. I have it if you want to call them, if you want to find any leads, get information. But apparently nobody returned his call. Why not? That's potentially 100 eyewitnesses who may have heard something, who may have saw something. They should be interviewing everybody possible because it's now been over 45 days since that wedding took place. And as each day passes, memories become more blurred, details become vague. So where is the sense of urgency here? I get it that there's a lot of hyper focus around other things right now, but you have this piece of information, possible great information, delivered to you on, a silver platter, and you're choosing not to do anything with it? That's very frustrating. Now, here's where we get into the suspected connection between this horrific case and the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case. Now, Gabby and Brian had also been in Moab on August 12th, and it's been reported that they were allegedly in a heated argument outside the Moonflower Co-op, where we know that Kylen worked. That was also the same day of Kylen's last shift. She was working there. It was her last shift at Moonflower, and they reportedly were arguing out front. The argument was allegedly so bad that it prompted witnesses to call police. And so we know Kylen was working that day. Could she have seen the argument? May she have tried to intervene somehow, making Brian upset? This was also the same day of that now infamous body cam footage of the altercation between Brian and Gabby when they get pulled over and when they're questioning both of them. It's just a lot of coincidence. Others are also speculating that perhaps they all camped near each other and that perhaps Brian is the creepy guy that the women were referring to on that last night that they were seen at Woody's Tavern. That theory has also led many to think of possible motives for Gabby Petito's death. Did she see Brian do something? Was she a witness to something? Is he trying to cover up for something? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but generally, where there's smoke, there's fire. And in my opinion, there is a lot of smoke right now around these two cases, because there have been no reported murders in that area since 2004. But then, after 17 years in this tiny small town, there's a double homicide that includes a woman who happened to be working and possibly a witness at the very place in which the day of the body cam footage took place. The argument that the police were called of this couple, where then just days later, the woman in this relationship and altercation also ends up dead. I mean, there are just so many coincidences, because also remember, the day that body cam footage, they separated Gabby and Brian, and that was the 12th. So Brian was on his own that night. Could he have been the creepy guy that the women were referring to the very next day to their friends? Because we know, again, he wasn't with Gabby. They were separated. Could he have been angry due to what happened between him and Gabby that day, that he lashed out in a fit of rage on these two women? I mean, there are a lot of possibilities and a lot of theories, and yes, a lot of conspiracy theories. But my opinion is these cases are too close together for comfort. There's too much overlap here between the campsites, the argument outside of Moonflower, that being last shift of Kylen's, she worked at Moonflower. There are too many layers, in my opinion, for this all to be a coincidence. And I know authorities came out and said that the crimes are not connected, but that was announced before they even discovered Gabby's body. So how would they know that they are not connected? We also don't know publicly yet what Gabby's cause of death was. If it happens to be a gunshot, I'm going to have a lot of red flags going off, because there's just something in my gut that tells me that there's got to be some sort of connection here. It's too weird. What do you guys think? Comment with a 1 if you think that they are connected somehow, but comment with a 2 if you think that they're unrelated. And share your theories along with your vote in the comments, because I'm interested to know what all of you guys think. This case is extremely tragic, and it's not getting the attention that it needs, and it's been superseded by the Gabby Petito case and the spotlight that has been brought onto that. And again, don't get me wrong, I think it's extremely important that there is a large light on that case, because Brian still needs to be found and justice needs to be served for Gabby. But what about Kylen and Crystal? They shouldn't be overlooked or forgotten, and with each day that passes, this case has a larger opportunity of going cold. Anyone with information is please asked to call 435-259-8115. There is currently a $20,000 reward for any information that may lead to a break in the case. So if you were in the area that day, if you saw anything, if you heard of anything, if you have any credible leads or tips, please call in. Feel free to email me. I will pass them along. Just make sure that you share that information, because just as much as everybody wants justice for Gabby, there needs to be justice, and somebody needs to be held accountable for this horrific crime that took place with Kylen and Crystal. Thanks for tuning in with me today, guys. As there are more updates in this case, and if we learn more information and new information in the Gabby Petito case, I'll keep you updated. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you get notified when we go live with these updates as they happen. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's coverage, and don't forget, comment below and let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to hear your theories, and if you want even more true crime conversation, we talk 24/7 in Discord about all of these cases. Feel free to join. All you have to do is click that link, and you can link yourself up through Discord, and it's really just a 24-hour group chat. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. Until the next case, stay safe. Bye.